Each of us at some point feels that life is out of control, whether it is a loss of work, a break in relations, or just a chaotic rhythm of everyday routine. At these moments, we can feel helpless and suppressed. But what if I tell you that there is a way not just to survive these trials, but to succeed among them? Today we are going to dive deeply into the wisdom of Seneca, an ancient philosopher, who possessed the art of supporting the world in a restless world. His teachings on Stoicism are not just philosophical reflections, they are practical strategies that have inspired leaders, thinkers, and individual people over the centuries, and can give us strength today. By the end of this video, you will have the opportunity to learn more about the philosophy of Seneca, as well as a set of Stoic principles that will help you develop your psychological stability and restore control over your emotions and reactions. Regardless of what life presents to you, stay with me and let's find out how these ancient secrets can be applied in modern life for a more calm and concentrated existence. If you appreciate what we are doing here, and want to support the channel, I ask you for a simple and free service. Click the subscribe button. This helps us to continue providing you with such content. I also urge you not to miss any part of the video. If you are here, you are not like the majority. You are the one who sees the value of deep immersion, so consider yourself an exception. The wisdom of Seneca is that you can be everywhere, which means to be nowhere. Reflects the most important principle, which is often omitted in our modern aspiration to do more and to be more. The idea is to focus on one form of activity at a time. This focus is not only aimed at increasing productivity, but also at developing the quality of mind, which values the depth above the width. Concentration of attention on one form of activity, at a time, allows us to fully immerse ourselves in the assigned task. Be it a professional task, a personal project, or a content conversation. Such deep work contributes to a greater sense of fulfillment and satisfaction. Moreover, the psychological advantages of focusing attention on one task at a time are significant. This reduces the cognitive load on our brain, reducing stress and expanding our ability to make decisions. The quality of our work and our life improves when we pay attention to one thing at a time. Accepting this Stoic principle not only makes us more productive, but also makes us more thoughtful, peaceful, and balanced people. This is a refusal to the chaos of modern multitasking and a transition to a more intelligent, conscious, and purposeful way of life. About the vision of Seneca. All the greatest sufferings, the result of an undisciplined mind, reveal the deep truth about human nature. Stoicism, emphasizing the importance of self-control and rational thinking, provides us with the basis for solving this problem. Instead of suppressing our emotions, which are neither healthy nor stable, Stoicism teaches us to understand them and control them. The process of controlling our impulses begins with self-consciousness. By becoming more aware of our impulses and triggers that trigger them, we are better prepared to deal with them rationally. This disciplined approach to controlling impulses is not only about avoiding emotional pain, but also about laying down the path to a more thoughtful and full-fledged life. Seneca, whose whole purpose is to be ready, as it is well known, said, "Imagine them in your mind. Exile, torture, war, shipwreck." At first glance, this advice may seem a little dramatic. In the end, not all of us travel by sea or join the battle. But here we are in the middle of a battle. But here Seneca is referring to the concept of mental preparation for inevitable life trials. The cornerstone of Stoic stability. Stoicism teaches us to predict and mentally prepare for the worst, not to instill fear in us, but to reduce shock and pain when difficulties really arise. This practice is known as premeditatio malorum, or intention of evil. By mentally rehearsing difficult situations, we train our mind to cope with stress and discomfort with less panic and great self-control. This Stoic practice helps us assess our current state. When we realize how much worse everything could be, our everyday problems seem less serious. To apply this Stoicism does not mean to constantly worry about what could go wrong. Rather, it is about realistic recognition of potential negative consequences. For example, if you are worried about the safety of your work, instead of falling into fear, you can start preparing to renew your resume, improve your skills, or even study alternative career paths. Thus, if the worst happens, you will not be caught up in trouble, and you will be able to cope with the situation better. Moreover, this principle goes beyond the boundaries of personal crises. It is about maintaining the level of readiness for any significant changes in our lives, from financial instability to personal losses. By staying ready, we not only protect ourselves from the initial shock, but also accelerate periods of recovery and adaptation. We become less reactive and more responsive. This is a subtle but powerful shift in the approach to life's uncertainties. Seneca's advice helps us to form a mindset in which we are not defeated by discontent, but are protected from it. This mental readiness is not in anticipation of the worst, but in readiness to cope with any situation, thereby increasing our stability and overall psychological stability. Through this Stoic prism, we see not only the potential of losses or difficulties, but also the possibility of growth and renewal in each challenge. Another deep understanding of Seneca is that difficulties strengthen the mind, as labor strengthens the body. It is based on Stoicism and talks about practice, which at first glance may seem illogical. A voluntary acceptance of difficulties. We are talking about the conscious choice of experiencing discomfort, not as a form of punishment, but as a way to strengthen our mental stability and expand our ability to cope with inevitable life problems. Think about what it means to voluntarily accept difficulties. It is like an athlete who trains in harsh conditions to prepare for competitions. An athlete understands that by expanding the limits of what is possible in a controlled environment, he is better prepared for the stress of a real competition. In the same way, by deciding to face difficulties face to face, be it the implementation of a complex project at work, a public performance, or even a decision to live easier, we increase our psychological stability and adaptability. The Synecdoche approach teaches us that when we deliberately leave the comfort zone, we do not just check our limits, we expand them. For example, if you are afraid of public speeches, regular getting into a situation when you need to speak in front of others can over time turn your fear into a skill. What once seemed unbeatable becomes manageable and eventually comfortable. This Stoic practice is not in search of suffering for their own sake, but in recognition of the fact that growth often occurs due to discomfort. Voluntary acceptance of difficulties also means a drop in our thresholds of comfort. In a world that often gives preference to comfort and ease, the choice of a more complex path may seem radical, but Stoicism is not. But Stoicism suggests that we rethink what real comfort is. It is simply the absence of discomfort or the presence of inner strength and peace that comes from the realization that we can cope with everything that is on our way. By integrating this Stoic principle into our lives, we also learn to value the current circumstances better. When we know that we are in danger, we can endure less, we can enjoy the simple joys of life with great satisfaction. It is about building a life not on the basis of avoidance of difficulties, but on the basis of stability. This does not mean that we are in search of suffering. But when difficulties come, we consider them as an opportunity to practice our Stoic skills. By voluntarily overcoming difficulties, we also develop a deep sense of our own effectiveness. We prove to ourselves that we are able to overcome obstacles, which, in turn, strengthens our self-confidence. Every problem we face and overcome is a reminder that we are stronger than we could imagine. So, let us take a page from the book of Seneca and challenge ourselves to enter the arena of voluntary deprivation. It is there that we will find not only problems, but also the keys to a more stable and full-fledged life. Seneca wisely noted that we suffer more often in our imagination than in reality. This statement is a severe reminder that our interpretation of events, and not events themselves, often causes us the greatest suffering. It is easy to fall into the trap of conviction that we are victims of our circumstances. This can lead us to think that everything is happening and not, for as Stoicism teaches us. The way we decide to see and interpret life's problems significantly affects our perception of them. If we consider ourselves to be passive victims, our freedom, our will, and our power. However, if we consider problems as an opportunity to deal with our own problems, we will not be able to do so. To deal with our own problems or our own problems to do so. If we consider this as an opportunity to grow and learn, we will have control over our reactions and with the greatest probability life proactively. Let us consider a well-known scenario. Perhaps you have not been promoted to serve and your first reaction is to feel that you have been rejected. Although these feelings, Stoicism tells us to critically assess our reactions. We must consider the fact That we are not, perhaps we are considering the situation only through the prism of loss and injustice. What if, instead of this, we see the opportunity to get a feedback, improve our skills, or even re-evaluate our career path to find what best suits our aspirations? To avoid self-punishment does not mean to ignore the injustice or difficulties we face. Rather, it means to shift our attention from what is happening to us to how we react to what is happening. This shift is powerful. It moves us from passive reaction to active participation in our lives. We stop asking, "Why is this happening to me?" and start asking, "What can I learn from this? How can I grow up in this situation?" Stoicism provides us with tools that allow us to distance ourselves from the initial emotional reactions and see a broader picture. It is about understanding that, although we cannot always control external events, we can control our perception and reactions. This psychological shift frees and expands our possibilities. It allows us to live with a sense of purpose and stability, which makes us more prepared to solve future problems. Moreover, observing this Stoic principle enriches our interaction with others. Refusing to consider ourselves eternal victims, we contribute to healthier relationships, which are characterized by mutual respect and understanding, and not by accusations and resentment. We become more compassionate when we realize that, just as we are responsible for our own happiness, others are responsible for theirs. By taking the Stoic path, we free ourselves from the chains of self-sacrifice. We take responsibility for our own narrative, recognizing that we are the architects of our reality. This expansion of rights and possibilities is the essence of Stoicism and the key to a full and active life. So, let us decide to rise above the victim, not denying our pain, but rethinking our history with strength, wisdom, and steadfastness. Seneca's advice, as far as it is possible to unite in oneself, emphasizes the value of identity. This guidance is not an encouragement to isolation, but rather an invitation to deep self-analysis and self-analysis. In our rapidly changing interconnected world, the noise of everyday life can deafen our inner voice and prevent us from thinking about our personal growth and values. Stoicism teaches us that true loneliness is a self-sacrifice. Stoicism teaches us that true loneliness is a self-sacrifice, the condition of a rich self-consciousness, and not just a physical state of loneliness. The advantages of spending time alone are enormous and have been confirmed by philosophers throughout the history. Mark Aurelius, another Stoic philosopher, often wrote about the importance of self-analysis in his personal work. He believed that self-understanding is necessary in order to live a noble and ambitious life. Stoicism teaches us that true loneliness is a self-sacrifice. He said, "This gives us space to process our experience and coordinate our actions with our principles." Regularly engaged in this practice, we develop a deeper understanding of who we are and what we really want from life. Such alignment has a decisive meaning for real life and achievement of personal satisfaction. Aristotle also touched on the importance of self-sacrifice. He thought that self-sacrifice is necessary for the development of good deeds in life in accordance with reason. In loneliness, we can critically assess our life and make corrections to it, reflecting our true values and aspirations. Stoic practice of loneliness also encourages us to develop stability. Epictetus emphasized the importance of self-sacrifice. He emphasized the importance of self-sacrifice in order to strengthen the mind against displeasure. He advised people to use loneliness as a tool to strengthen their character and mental endurance, preparing them for inevitable life trials. He said, "In your power, go into yourself when you wish. Perfect inner peace consists of a good order of mind, your own kingdom." Moreover, the time spent alone helps us to better assess our relationships and social interactions. When we return from the period of loneliness, we often discover that we can offer more to others. Whether it is greater sympathy, patience, or clarity. This not only enriches our personal relationships, but also increases our contribution to life, in the development of our communities. The Stoic practice of the search for loneliness is not aimed at escaping from life, but at deepening our involvement in it. By leaving ourselves, we gain the clarity necessary in order to act in the world more thoughtfully. Seneca, Mark Aurelius, and Epictetus give us a plan for the use of loneliness not as an escape from life, but as a tool for a more complete and meaningful life. Summing up today's discussion, it becomes clear that the teaching of Stoicism is not just abstract theories limited by ancient texts. They offer practical strategies that can be applied in our everyday life, giving us the opportunity to lead a more thoughtful, stable, and purposeful life. Stoicism teaches us the value of life. Stoicism teaches us the importance of self-control, the importance of self-discipline, the power of overcoming difficulties, the freedom we gain from self-disgust, and the clarity loneliness can give us. Each of these principles encourages us to address ourselves and improve our character so that we can act honestly and boldly in our lives. Stoicism does not promise easy life. Rather, it offers us tools for more effective solution of life problems. It encourages us to consider every obstacle as an opportunity to show kindness, and every difficulty as a chance to check our stability. Using these Stoic practices, we not only survive, we flourish. We cultivate life in the world and satisfaction from within. In the spirit of Stoicism, let's continue to explore how we can use these ancient wisdoms to cope with the difficulties of modern life. Let's strive to be better than we were yesterday, to live intentionally and benevolently. If you want to continue this journey, look at one of the videos on your screen right now. They were created to help you. They were created to help you dive deeper into the practical application of Stoicism in everyday life. Thank you for spending time with us here at Stoicism Insights. We are grateful for your curiosity and desire to grow with us. Remember, the path to wisdom is long and difficult, but every step of yours is a step towards a more meaningful life. So continue to walk boldly,